Well, I don't think I can find words to really describe how elevated I am about being given this award. You know, I mean, as I've said in my acceptance speech, when I first came in this city some 55 years ago, I didn't dream that one day I would be being awarded by this great institution, you know, in an honorary state, you know, in an honorary way. St Anne's at the time, when I got elected, it was like a through fair, right? People would say, for instance, in Phase 10, somebody would be involved in Phase 10 in an incident, and in less than 2 or 3 minutes they're on Victoria Centre, right? Because there are so many alleyways in and out of St Anne's. And what we were able to do, especially with City Challenge resources, was to make St Anne's more secured. And this was what both the leader of the council, who was my co-councillor, John Collins, and I, what we did was to ensure that residents were involved in whatsoever project or program of improvement. You know, I mean, we didn't impose anything upon the residents. We made sure that the residents were in agreement to what was going to be done. And I think that is something that is now being adopted across the city. Well, I think being the Lord Mayor of Nottingham, to me, was just the icing on the cake, because I had been involved in various sections of the local authority, which I was the chair of the Employment and Economic Development Committee for about 4 years. I was vice chair of that for about 5 years. And I also was the City Council representative on Nottingham Regeneration Limited, which developed from the Lace Market Development Company, right? So I was able to work very closely with the private sector in the regeneration and the educational institutions in the regeneration in Nottingham. When Capital One decided to set up their European arm of financial institution, they looked at France, they looked at Republic of Ireland, they looked at various other places in Europe, and they looked at the UK. And what Nottingham offered in the UK was what they went for. When they came here, I think they came here with the expectation of setting up 500, creating 500 jobs. When I left Nottingham, I knew that had gone up to about 2,000. When I go to conferences in other areas of the country and talk about the working relationship in Nottingham between the private sector and the public sector, people were alarmed. We were the envy of other major cities in the United Kingdom because of our working relationship, and this is something that was created, I should imagine, I'll take the credit for that, under my stewardship. After the demise of JPAC, there was Path East Midlands, which was one of the organizations, and I got involved with Path East Midlands. And when I got involved, I carried out a survey to identify employers who, and the percentage of the workforce that came from ethnic minority communities. And I noticed that, well, then there was vast underrepresentation from the ethnic minority communities. So what we did was to change the constitution of Path East Midlands, and it was out of that it was renamed PATRA, which is Positive Action Training and Recruitment Agency. And what I did was to look at the underrepresentation within workforce, where there was underrepresentation, and negotiate with employers to look at taking on trainees from in different disciplines. When the Macpherson inquiry after the death of Stephen Lawrence, which more or less encourage employers to work more closely with organizations as PATRA to address some of the underrepresentation within their workforce. An example was the fire service, you know, because they had but limited black people within their employment. And PATRA has been identified as one of the organizations within the community that most of the employers work very closely with to address the underrepresentation. I think it was in 2004 when I had my first encounter here with students from Jamaica, and when I was Lord Mayor, and there was Professor Humphreys, who was then the professor in charge of the overseas students, and I introduced a system whereby I linked up with linked the civic office with the university to get to know these students as soon as they come in, and then put in place with organizations within the community, so that then they could be integrated into the community, and also use some of those students as role models within the education system. So it's, you know, it was a two-way exercise, because most of the children from black parents within the education system was more or less identified as tearaways, and it's to, you know, try and let them realize that, well, then, you know, I mean, crime isn't a way out of poverty. You know, I mean, they want to realize that, well, then there are people within the Afro-Caribbean community who've got ambition to be, you know, prospective citizens, and, you know, give them an opportunity to use these students as role models.